Welcome back to Inside Nashville, where our guest today is Steve Buchanan, who's the Senior Vice President for Gaylord's Media and Entertainment Group. When we were in our last segment, you were talking a little bit about how do you show reverence, I guess, to the historical properties, values of each of the brands that you manage. What strategies have you used to do that? I mean, some students are going to be watching this, others will be seeing this. This is as strong of a look at brand management, brand balance, as probably any kind of company or properties that you could look at, because it's quite obviously it's a delicate dance, a delicate balance. How have you been able to manage the historic reverence and the currency for today?
Yeah, so if you consider, let's talk about the Opry and the Ryman to a certain extent. You have what is a historical and cultural attraction, something that is truly American, something that is a mecca of sorts that people want to come to, and for the Opry you have decades. The Opry and the Ryman, you have a decades-long history, and so it's built. Our product really, in both cases, is people, and so you take what is both an entertainment business, really driven in as an attraction tourism business, and you look at what is really the best representation of that is important to multiple generations, and I think that really is the biggest challenge, because you're trying to appeal to a very broad age demographic. I mean, really across. Whether it's age, income, people come, as I said, people come from all over the United States and all over the world, and to Nashville. And when they think of this is something that I'm in Nashville, what do I do? You want to go to the Grand Ole Opry. You want to go check out the Ryman. So strategically, I think that our focus has been on what are you doing that makes this continue to be important 10, 20 years from now. For us, it's not strictly of quarter to quarter or necessarily even year to year. It's looking at what are the foundations that we're putting in place today that will be meaningful for years to come. And in a lot of cases, that has to do with the artists that we're associating with. It has to do with the overall mix of programming. And the case of the Ryman Auditorium, it can be as much from a PR perspective as anything. And the Ryman and the Opry both elicit emotional responses from performers, and so that's something that is readily available for us to take advantage of.
Can you go into a little bit more detail about the foundations, which I guess you could call strategies as well, some of the things that you've employed, let's say in the last several years with the Opry? I know there seems to be a sense that the Opry is going through yet another almost renaissance in its what year? How old is the Opry now? What do you?
The Opry will be 87.
87 years old
in October of 2012.
And it's the longest running radio show.
Longest running radio show ever. Certainly was not the only radio show of its type. There were other radio shows like the Opry all over the United States, really from coast to coast. And because the music industry built up around WSM and the Opry, the publishing business, the record business, I think we have our forefathers who were leading WSM and and leading the Opry to thank for really creating the business that is here today. And so that is what gives us, that's what contributes to the foundation to start with.
I get it. And you took over as manager. You were a manager of the Ryman, and you oversaw, I guess, the complete overhaul of that as a facility.
Yeah, I started with the company as doing marketing for the Opry, and my first, within the first few weeks, went down to the Ryman, and I had never been in the Ryman until I came to work for the company, and I was just blown away with the vibe of it, the feel of it. The building had no air conditioning, had a bit of a musty smell, and you just, it's such a warm environment, and you can, just in standing in there, you can imagine all the great moments that have happened there, but you can imagine how wondrous it is to hear music in that building.
What kind of pushback? So you're standing on the stage, Hank Sr., Roy Acuff, Minnie Pearl. I mean, it goes, it's legendary. But then you begin to remodel, make some changes, update. What did you get any kind of corporate pushback when you first decided, or when you first went to them and said, "Hey, we need to get ourselves, we need to update ourselves"? Did you get corporate pushback, and what kind of response did you get from the artist community when you started doing that?
I mean, the artist community was excited about it. I mean, there are, you know, it's interesting because there are performers that used to work at the Ryman who remembered that there really were not proper dressing rooms, that it was really, really hot in there in the summer without air conditioning, that it was just a cramped facility that had many challenges to it. There were actually probably more performers that romanticized it that never performed there than those who actually did perform there, who thought, you know, I'm really happy not necessarily to be going back there. But, you know, when you bring it up to contemporary production standards and expectations, that changes all that. And, you know, we went back and did paint studies. We found a stencil that was original to the building, which was on the balcony. So we brought it back in a way that that I feel was respectful to all that building represents, and to its entire history. I mean, the debate, you know, people said, you know, we should put cushions on the benches, and my response is, no, we shouldn't, because that contributes to its fantastic acoustics, and that's just not the way it was.
Right. So, I mean, what I keep hearing in all this is there's this constant balance of, we've got to pay homage, we've got to be, there's got to be a reverence, but there's also a look at how do we make this the best possible experience and venue that it can be.
Right. You want, ultimately, you know, I mean, the Ryman is I think a good example, and you can apply that to the Opry and to WSM and others. You know, the Ryman had extraordinary acoustics when nothing was amplified. Well, okay, now everything is amplified, and everybody expects that it's going to be amplified. Right. So how do you make sure that it continues to have incredible acoustics? And you've got to do that by having the best possible production that you can. And you know, people are used to moving lights. I mean, they're used to you know, different sort of scenic things than you would have had 50 years ago or 100 years ago. And so you want to really bring a look and a sound and a feel to the facility that meets current expectations and demands, but at the same time, you're really in an environment that is like no other, and that has that feel and that intimacy that you can't get anywhere else.
And I would imagine that in the last several years, particularly since all that's been done, at the level of artists that will come and play the Ryman, has it exceeded what you even thought that it was going to be in terms of how people look at it even today? Or were you always confident that it was going to turn out that way?
You know, I mean, I felt like, and within the first couple of years, that there was such a great respect for the facility that if we could deliver a good experience, that we could build upon our reputation. You know, we could build upon what almost a mythological past, which was a reality to many, but still,
Right.
We could build upon that so it became a new reality, and that you had a new generation that really becomes your spokesperson, and they're the ones that are carrying forward your message.
You become the Joseph Campbell of music attractions here in Nashville, then. We're with Steve Buchanan today on Inside Nashville. He's the Senior Vice President of Gaylord's Media and Entertainment Group, overseeing the Opry, the Ryman, WSM-AM, and Hee Haw as a property. And we're going to be right back. Stay with us.